All right. Welcome to another narration of mine. Settle in for a moment. This is where the voices I carry meet the version of the truth most people avoid, and where the things we uncover tend to stay with us long after the story ends. Only the brave souls and the fearless ones stay until the end. Okay, so I've never really posted on here before. I usually just lurk and read those weird late-night stories while scrolling in the dark, telling myself they're fake so I can sleep afterward. But what happened to me? It's different. I can't just scroll past this one and pretend it didn't happen. This isn't some haunted house or ghost story nonsense. It's something else, something worse. This was real. And I know that's what everyone says when they want you to take them seriously. But I need you to listen, just this once. Because it all started with a thread I found in a hidden part of Reddit that I can't even find anymore. Like it's been scrubbed off the face of the internet. I was up late, like 3 a.m., kind of late. You know, that weird hour where everything's quiet and your brain starts to wander to strange places. I was just bored, scrolling through random subreddits. Then I stumbled across a comment in some conspiracy thread. It wasn't upvoted, no replies, like it was just left there and ignored. It read, "If you think /r and no sleep is scary, wait until you see the real stories, the kind you're not supposed to see, the ones that make moderators disappear." There was no link, just a phrase, /r/lore of meat. That's it. No hyperlink. Not even highlighted red like a usual subreddit. I typed it in manually. It didn't exist. Or so I thought. But when I refreshed the page a few times, suddenly it did. The page was different. It didn't look like a normal subreddit. Black background, no header image, and the font. It was off. Smaller. Like reading the fine print of a contract you never agreed to. There were no mods listed, no rules, no description, just one post titled, "Welcome Home." I should have left. Any normal person would have. But curiosity does something to your brain, especially when it's late and your room's dark, and the only light is the cold glow of your monitor. I clicked it. The post was only a video, 6 seconds long. No title, no description. It autoplayed. There was no sound, just grainy footage of someone standing in a room, slowly swaying side to side. Their back was to the camera, wearing what looked like a hospital gown. The walls were covered in meat, hanging slabs, wet and glistening, like a butcher shop had exploded. The floor was sticky, dark, and littered with what looked like teeth. And then the video ended. 6 seconds. But I must have watched it 30 times, trying to understand what I was looking at. Every time I played it, though, the figure in the gown was standing closer to the camera. Not by much, just a step or two. But it wasn't the video looping forward. It was the same clip. Somehow, different every time. Like it knew I was watching. By the fifth or sixth time, I closed the tab, just shut it down, and told myself it was some ARG or weird art project. But Reddit didn't load right after that. Every time I opened it, it would just take me to the same black page with new posts from that thread, each one worse than the last. There was no way to leave. I started seeing things, real life things. I know that sounds crazy, but the first night after watching that video, I woke up to what sounded like chewing. Not like someone eating chips or something. This was wet, like someone trying to eat steak with their mouth open and their hands tied behind their back. I lay in bed, completely frozen, listening. The sound was coming from under my bed. I wanted to scream, but something inside me whispered not to. Like if I made a sound, it would know I was awake. So I stayed still. Eventually, the noise stopped. But when I finally got the courage to peek under my bed the next morning, I found raw meat. Not packaged, not store-bought. Just a chunk of meat. Like something you'd carve off an animal. It was warm when I touched it, and it smelled like copper. I stopped sleeping after that. I kept getting redirected to that subreddit. New videos every time. One showed a woman with her eyelids cut off, just staring at a wall covered in photos of her own face. She wasn't blinking, couldn't blink, and she was whispering something over and over. I cranked the volume up as high as it could go, but I couldn't make out the words, just dry lips moving, again and again. Another video had a kid, maybe 7 years old, standing naked in a room full of mannequins. All of them had real eyes shoved into the sockets. Blood streaked down the faces like tears. He just stood there, trembling, holding something in his hands. A knife. The caption read, "He passed the test." What test? These weren't horror movie clips. They looked real. Uncomfortably real. Like they weren't meant to be seen by anyone. I tried reporting the subreddit. Nothing happened. I emailed Reddit support. Got no response. I even tried formatting my PC. Fully wiped it. Didn't matter. Every time I went online, I'd find myself back there. Like the page was burned into my browser. Then it got worse. I got an envelope in my mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just my name on the front, handwritten in red ink. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It was me, asleep in my bed. The angle was taken from inside my room, from the closet. My window was locked. My door was locked. There's no way someone could have gotten in. And yet, there it was. I flipped the photo over. On the back, it said, "Do you like the meat now?" I moved out of my apartment that same day, packed a bag, called my cousin, told him I needed a place to crash. I didn't even explain. He didn't ask. But that night, even in a completely different house, I woke up around 2:33 a.m. The same time I always seemed to wake up now. My skin was damp, like I'd been sweating, but it was cold in the room. The chewing was back. And it wasn't under the bed this time. It was in the closet. When I opened Reddit again the next morning, it wasn't even pretending anymore. The homepage had only one thing: a live stream titled Feeding Time. And in the stream was me, sleeping, in my cousin's guest room, the same position I was in just a few hours ago. Except in the corner of the video, you could just barely make out a figure, the one in the hospital gown, standing, watching, swaying, closer, every time. After I saw that live stream of me sleeping, with that figure standing in the corner, I shut everything down: my laptop, my phone, threw a towel over the mirror in the guest room. I even pulled the dresser in front of the closet. My cousin thought I was having some kind of breakdown. And honestly, I probably was. That night, I didn't sleep. Not even a little. Just sat in the bed with the lights on, hugging a baseball bat, like that was gonna save me from whatever was out there. But I made it through the night. Then, the next morning, there was another envelope. Same as before. No stamp. No name. Just sitting on the doormat outside my cousin's house, like it belonged there. Inside, two things. Another photo. A small, curled up piece of what looked like human skin. Not joking. The photo was from a weird angle, somewhere outside the house, zoomed in through the window. It showed me, sitting on the bed with the bat, lights on, eyes wide, just waiting. And in the bottom right corner of the photo, you could see something pressed against the glass. A face, mouth open, grinning. No lips, just exposed gums, teeth cracked and yellow. Eyes missing, not gouged out. Missing, like there were never any there to begin with. Just skin stretched over empty sockets. He had that hospital gown on again, but this time it was stained, dark, like dried blood, and something thicker, something black. There was a sticky thumbprint on the back of the photo. Under it, a sentence scribbled in that same red ink. He likes watching you be afraid. I tried to tell my cousin everything that day. I broke down, just spilled everything like some lunatic on a crime doc. He didn't laugh. He didn't even blink. He just looked at me and said, dead serious, "Do you remember Uncle Darren?" I stopped. I hadn't thought about my uncle in years. He disappeared when I was 14. No one ever found out what happened. Cops thought he ran off. Mom always said he wasn't well mentally, that he had some kind of breakdown and vanished. But I remembered something now, something I hadn't thought about in forever. Uncle Darren was obsessed with internet forums, not Facebook or Twitter. The weird stuff. Back in the day, it was stuff like LiveLeak, old chat rooms, deep web message boards, places people didn't go unless they were looking for something twisted. He'd talk about forums with no names, places you only found through clues and breadcrumbs, like they were testing if you were worthy. He used to say creepy things too, like, if you look long enough into the dark starts looking for you. It all came back, fast. I asked my cousin what he meant. Why bring up Uncle Darren? He looked uncomfortable. Then he went to his room, dug around in an old shoebox, and came back with a USB stick. Handed it to me without saying a word. When I plugged it in, it was mostly junk. Old text files, folders full of broken links, screenshots of threads from what looked like message boards I'd never heard of. But one folder stood out. It was labeled Meat. Inside were videos, dozens. Most of them just black screens with distorted audio. Screams, wet noises, someone whispering in a voice that didn't sound human. One video was different, though. It had a name, the smile test. It was 11 minutes long. I should have stopped there, but I didn't. The video starts with a guy sitting in a chair in a white room. There's no sound, just static humming in the background. He looks confused, maybe drugged. His eyes keep fluttering. Behind him, there's a mirror, but something's off about it. It's fogged, like someone was breathing on it from the other side. Around the 3-minute mark, something starts to appear in the reflection. It's that same faceless man in the gown. He's not moving, just standing there behind the guy, swaying. Closer every minute. Then, out of nowhere, the guy in the chair starts grinning. Not like a normal grin. This was forced. His lips stretching wider than they should, like something inside him was pushing it. His cheeks split. Blood trickled down his neck. His teeth started to fall out one by one. Every time one dropped to the floor, the figure in the mirror got closer. At 10 minutes in, the man in the chair starts sobbing through the smile, like he couldn't stop it. Then he starts laughing, choking on it, gurgling. By the time it hits 11 minutes, his face is destroyed, jaw broken, lips torn. And behind him, in the mirror, the figure has its hands on his shoulders. Then the screen goes black. No ending, no credits. Just a final text flashed in red for less than a second. He smiles when you sleep. That night, I started hearing whispers through my phone speakers, even when it was off. I'd hear someone say my name, over and over. And every time they said it, I felt cold air brush the back of my neck, like someone standing behind me. And worse, every time I turned around, I wanted to see him. I was starting to lose it. I could feel my sanity slipping like grease through my fingers. No sleep, barely eating. My cousin tried to take me to a hospital, but the second we stepped out the front door, there was a package on the porch. This one wasn't an envelope. It was a box. Black, taped shut. It stank, like meat that had been left out in the sun for weeks. Inside was a VHS tape. Just one word written on it in Sharpie. You. My cousin didn't want to play it, but I did. I had to know. We had to dig out his old VCR from the garage, hooked it up, put in the tape. And what we saw, I'm not ready to write about that yet. It's still playing in my head. He was in it, and so was I. And something was inside the walls. My cousin slid the VHS tape into the VCR like he was handling something poisonous. He kept saying we shouldn't watch it, that this was exactly how people end up on those documentaries, where the narrator says, authorities still have no explanation. But curiosity is a sickness. It just eats at you until you give in. The screen went fuzzy for a moment, all static and lines moving and up and down. Then the picture cleared. It was footage of a hallway, not some horror movie dungeon or abandoned building, just a regular hallway. Beige walls, cheap lights, peeling wallpaper. The kind of hallway you'd see in an old apartment building or run-down motel. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, I walked into frame. Me. Same clothes I'd worn that morning. Same posture. Same expression. Down to the way I kept rubbing the back of my neck. It was like someone had filmed me without me realizing. I watched myself walk down the hallway, stop at a door, and knock. My cousin whispered, "That's not possible." The door in the video opened, and he stepped out. The man with the smooth face, no eyes, no lips, no expression, except the permanent stretched grin carved into the shape of where a mouth should be. That hospital gown hanging loose on his thin frame, almost swaying in a rhythm that didn't match anything human. And then he did something new. He leaned forward, slow, deliberate, and pressed his forehead against mine. The me in the tape didn't flinch, didn't step back, didn't run. He just stood there. Then the screen cut to black. But the tape wasn't over. The next scene was my cousin's guest room, the same one I was sleeping in. Except the version of me in the footage wasn't asleep. He was sitting upright on the bed, eyes wide open, breathing slow, not blinking. The camera angle shifted, just a tiny movement, like whoever was filming it was crawling along the floor. I felt my stomach drop as the view tilted upward. The man was on the ceiling, not hanging, not clinging, just attached, like gravity meant nothing to him. He was staring at the version of me sitting on the bed, head tilted like a curious animal. His empty eye sockets were inches above my face, dripping something I don't even want to imagine. Then the tape glitched hard. The frame froze, then jumped. Sound warped until it barely resembled anything human. The screen went black again. But there was still one final scene. This time, the footage looked like it was shot in some narrow space, like between walls. Wooden beams, insulation, darkness. The camera crept forward, pushing past dust and broken plaster. Then it stopped. Because I was on the other side of the wall. Not video me, not dream me, actual me, present day me. I was standing there with my head tilted in a way I physically cannot bend, my mouth moving silently like I was saying something over and over. My eyes looked strange, glossy, not fully conscious. My cousin backed away from the TV like it was going to explode. "Pause it," he said. "Pause it, right now." When we froze the frame and leaned in, we realized something I wish I could unsee. There were hands behind my shoulders, not holding me, not touching me, just hovering, like they were waiting. My cousin unplugged everything, the TV, the VCR, pulled the tape out and threw it into a trash bag, tied it up, and tossed it outside like it was contaminated. I thought that would help. It didn't, because that night, the walls started knocking. Not random tapping, not pipes, not rodents. This was rhythmic, slow, too measured to be anything accidental. 3 knocks, pause, 2 knocks, pause, 1 knock, repeat, like a pattern meant for me to understand. At around 3 a.m., the knocking stopped. Then something whispered right through the drywall behind my head. "You filmed well?" I didn't sleep at all. My cousin didn't either. We ended up sitting in the living room with the lights on, both of us staring at the hallway, like the man in the hospital gown was going to appear any second. The worst part? When the sun finally came up, my cousin went to get the trash bag from outside. It was gone. Not opened. Not ripped. Just gone. But in its place was something else. A new envelope, with both of our names on it this time. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No threats, no photos, no videos. Just one sentence written in the same red ink. "The next recording will be inside." No explanation of inside what. My cousin didn't want to open the attic. He didn't want to check the closets. He didn't want to split up. I didn't blame him. But the house felt different after that note. Heavier. Like something was pressed up against the walls from the inside, listening to every word we said. And the worst thing? That night, the knocking switched walls. It wasn't behind my head anymore. It was behind his. After that note, the one that said, "The next recording will be inside," my cousin and I did what any 2 terrified adults would do. We pretended everything was normal for about 2 hours, then finally broke. We stood in the hallway that led to the attic door, staring at it like it was unwrapping itself in front of us. The metal string that you pull to lower the ladder was swaying, even though nothing in the house was moving. No wind, no shaking. Just that little string tugging back and forth, like someone upstairs was brushing against it. My cousin whispered, "There shouldn't be anything up there." Yeah, no kidding. But the knocking had started moving around the house. It wasn't just one wall anymore. Sometimes it sounded like it was coming from behind the TV. Other times, behind the bathroom mirror. At one point, We both heard it under the floorboards at the same time. The attic was the only place we hadn't checked, so we pulled the string, and as soon as the ladder unfolded, a smell drifted down. Not rot, not trash, something sour and warm, almost like sweat after someone's been trapped in a cramped space for way too long. The ladder didn't feel stable when I stepped on it. Not physically, mentally. Like my brain didn't want me going up there. Like instincts yelling, "This is where animals go to die." Still, I climbed. The attic was dim. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, but when I pulled the chain, it flickered like it was struggling to stay alive. The whole space felt smaller than I remembered, like the walls had shifted inward in the night. There was dust everywhere, but in the center of the attic, all the dust was disturbed. A perfect circle of clean floorboards, as if someone, or something, had been sitting there. My cousin climbed up behind me, whispering, "We're not alone up here." And he was right, because in the corner of the attic, just barely visible behind a stack of old plastic bins, was a TV. A small, boxy, ancient-looking TV. One of those heavy ones with thick glass screens. It wasn't plugged into anything. There wasn't even an outlet up there. But it was on. Bright screen, static dancing, sound crackling like a weak heartbeat. We froze. My cousin whispered, "How is it on?" And then the static shifted, slowly, like someone turning a dial. Images flickered. Shapes. Shadows moving. Then the screen cleared. It was footage of the attic. That exact attic. That exact moment. The two of us standing in the center, staring at the TV. But something was off. In the TV version of the attic, we weren't alone. There was a figure crouched behind us, knees bent wrong, head tilted too far to one side, hanging as if the neck was loose. Its hospital gown touched the floor like it was soaked in something. It was smiling. Even without eyes, you could sense the smile. You could feel it. A grin stretched across skin that shouldn't bend the way it did. My cousin said something. I don't even remember what. Maybe my brain blocked it out. Because right then, the figure on the screen raised its hand and reached toward the back of my head. Not in real life, on the screen. But I felt something could touch my neck. Just the faint pressure of fingers. I spun around so fast, I almost fell off the attic floor. Nothing was behind us. Nothing was in the corners. Nothing but dust and the old beams and that TV crackling like it was laughing. My cousin hissed, "Turn it off!" But there was no button, no switch, no plug. So I kicked it. Hard. The screen snapped to black. For about 5 seconds, everything was quiet. Then a new sound filled the attic. A voice. Not loud. Not a scream. Just a whisper. Right in our ears. Too close to be echoing. You shouldn't touch what belongs to him. My cousin grabbed my arm. We're getting out. Now! I didn't argue. We climbed down the ladder so fast we almost fell. The moment my feet hit the hallway carpet, I slammed the attic door shut and yanked the string up so hard it disappeared into the ceiling. We ran to the living room and locked every door, every window, pulled the curtains, pushed furniture against the entrances like we were barricading the house against something with hands. Neither of us said a word for almost a full hour. Then, around sunset, the TV in the living room turned on by itself. Not the attic TV, the living room one. The screen flashed. No static this time. A clean image. The inside of a narrow space. Wood beams. Darkness. Movement. Then the camera turned slightly. It was looking down at us through the ceiling. Inside the walls. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. My cousin whispered, "It's been watching from in there." Then the screen flickered, and a pale hand pressed against the inside of the TV screen. Not behind the glass. Inside the picture itself, dragging downward like someone pulling themselves closer. The nails were cracked, the skin too thin. You could see the shapes of bones. My cousin unplugged the TV, but it didn't matter. The image stayed. The hand kept dragging. And then new text appeared on the bottom of the screen, glowing red, like it was burned into the picture. He found a door. A moment later, the wall beside the TV made a noise I will never forget. Not a knock, a crack, like something was pushing from the inside. After the wall cracked, everything in the house changed. The air was wrong, thicker, like breathing in smoke, even though nothing was burning. There were no more knocks, just the feeling of pressure behind the walls, like something dragging itself slowly along the inside of the house, listening, waiting. We didn't talk much that night, not because we didn't want to, but because it felt like even whispering might call him closer. We tried to leave. Didn't work. The second we opened the front door, the sky outside was wrong. Not stormy, not dark, just wrong. Too still. No wind, no bugs, no sound. And across the street, all the houses looked painted on, like someone copied a photo of a neighborhood and stretched it out to fill space. And in every window, a shape, standing, watching. All of them had the same outline, tall, slouched, arms dangling like they were broken, heads tilting too far to the side. Every single one of them smiling. We slammed the door shut and backed away. That's when my cousin saw it. There was a new door in the hallway, one we'd never seen before. A plain white door, no handle, no hinges. Just there, like it had grown out of the wall while we weren't looking. Smooth, blank, and breathing. Yeah, breathing. We could see it moving. Slow, shallow, pulses like lungs under skin. Every few seconds, it'd twitch, just barely, like something inside was trying to keep still, but couldn't anymore. On the center of the door, written in what looked like smeared blood, were the words, "You watched. Now open." We didn't. We ran back to the living room, tried turning on the lights. None of them worked. The bulbs didn't blow out. They were just dead. No electricity. Phones didn't have signal. Even the clocks had stopped. Everything was frozen at 3:03 a.m. That time keeps following me. We tried to stay in the center of the house, away from the walls. But around 4 a.m., the house groaned, like something massive shifted under it. Furniture started shaking. The floorboards popped like they were under pressure. Then the TV turned on again. No one touched it. It lit up the whole room in pale white light. This time, there was no attic, no walls, no creepy hallway. Just us. Live footage. My cousin and I, sitting on the floor in the middle of the living room, staring at the screen. But behind us in the footage, the white door was open. And something was crawling out. Not walking. Crawling. Its limbs were too long. Its bones moved the wrong way. Skin pulled tight, but loose in the places where joints were supposed to be. And the head? God. The head didn't have a face anymore. It was my face. Not alive, not breathing, just stitched onto the front of that thing like a mask. My eyes sewn shut, my mouth curved into that same unnatural smile. We both stood up at the same time. The TV snapped off, and we heard the door behind us creak open. I didn't look at first. Neither of us did. But the smell hit immediately, thick and coppery, like a hospital floor after an emergency. And there was this noise, this soft, wet squelching, like feet dragging through meat. Then a voice whispered from behind us, deep and wet and way too close. "You're part of him now." My cousin ran first, bolted toward the garage. I followed without thinking. We didn't get far. The hallway stretched. It wasn't just long. It was wrong. Like the house wasn't a house anymore. The walls peeled into meat. The floor turned soft under our feet. Every step we took felt like we were walking through muscle tissue. Then I heard my cousin scream. I turned. He wasn't behind me anymore, just the white door. And it was open again. I don't remember making it to the basement, but that's where I ended up. I locked myself in, pushed shelves and furniture against the door. And now I'm here, typing all this on an old laptop we stored down here years ago. It's the only thing still working. I don't know where my cousin is. I don't even know if he's alive. The last thing I heard from upstairs was this sick, gurgling laugh, like someone choking on their own joy. The floor above me has been creaking for the past 20 minutes. Heavy, dragging steps. And I know what that means. He's inside now. He's not waiting anymore. The laptop screen is flickering now. Every few seconds, it shows my reflection. But it's not me. It's the thing with my face. The smile sewn on. Head tilting. He's almost through the door at the top of the stairs. I can hear him breathing. I'm posting this now, in case I don't make it. Don't go looking for the thread. Don't search for /r/lore of meat. Don't be curious. Don't try to understand. If you ever get a video that keeps changing when you watch it, if you hear something under your bed chewing, if your screen flickers at 3:03 a.m., don't open the door, even if it asks nicely.